the right time, Christ died for the ungodly. And now Paul is begging us to just think of how wonderful it is that Jesus would die for ungodly people like us. Look at verse 7. He's asking you to think. Reason about this. If you've never done this, you've got to. You've got to realize how scandalous and just ridiculous it is that God would come and die for sinners. For one will scarcely die for a righteous person, though perhaps for a good person one would dare even to die. He's talking about ordinary humans like us, saying we would barely even die for someone if they were a really good person. If we would say, man, this is a righteous person and they're going to die, I'm going to step in their place and die for them instead of them dying. It's like people rarely do that. He says, yeah, perhaps for a good person, one would dare even to die. We do have stories of people dying for others, saving other people, like someone drowning in order to push someone else up into the boat, or someone jumping in front of a bullet. We have little blips of those kind of things. He says, yeah, it happens every once in a while. But then he draws the point of the cross home to us. But we would barely ever do that. Now, sometimes someone would dare even to die. But God shows his love for us, and that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. While we were still sinners. One way to put this is, friends, you weren't even born yet when Jesus died for you. God is the only one that had even conceived that you would exist. You didn't ask Jesus to die for you. All we had was our sin. All he would have foresaw if he just looked in the future and saw what we would be is a sinner. Someone in rebellion to him, someone deserving of death. But God shows his love for us, and that while we were sinners, Christ died for us. You understand what that means as far as how we are saved? How God saves us from our sin and brings us into his family? He doesn't look at you and say, all right, I'm going to give you a week to clean up your act. You got to get stuff together. I'll give you a week, and then you can be a part of my family. I'm going to let you pay off your debts first, and then you come in. No, he says, no, when we were in the worst possible state, we were sinners, and Christ died for us. That means he doesn't say to you, clean yourself up and then come to me. He says, come to me as you are, and I'm going to clean you up, and I'm going to make you as you should be. Don't wait until you get yourself cleaned up to come to Jesus. You'll never come if you do that. Come to Jesus as you are and know that he loves us enough to not leave us as we are. He accepts us in spite of us in order to make us who we should be. And he shows his love for us, and that while we were still sinners, while we were devoted to sin, we were preeminently sinful, Christ died. That word for means in the place of, instead of us. He died as our substitute.